Welcome back. This is episode 201. In this week's episode, I have some exciting news to share. Over the past 18 months, I've been writing a book, which some of you know about, and come May 28th, just a couple weeks away, this book will be published and available for purchase on Amazon, and I will officially be a published author. It's been a lot of fun, but it's also been a lot of work, as you can imagine. And my book is called Fiduciary: How to Find, Hire, and Establish a Trusted Partnership with a Fee-Only Advisor. So let's start with what a financial advisor does. If you look up the term financial advisor, you'll get many different definitions. Just go put into Google and see what you come up with. Well, I picked two. The first one from Wikipedia. Wikipedia says a financial advisor is a professional who provides financial services to clients based on their financial situation. And in many countries, financial advisors must complete specific training and be registered with a regulatory body in order to provide advice. Forbes says a financial advisor is a professional who is paid to offer financial advice to clients. Just as you would hire an architect to create a plan for your home, you hire a financial advisor to create a plan for your finances. Now, additionally, there are also many titles that financial advisors can use. Not all of them use the term financial advisor. Some like to sound cooler or better than other financial advisors. Some use other titles such as financial planner, financial consultant, wealth manager, wealth advisor, investment manager, investment advisor, fiduciary advisor, registered investment advisor, registered representative. The list goes on and on. So I have to say I too am guilty of this, as I mostly use the term wealth advisor. I also use financial advisor, and what wealth advisor means is that I help clients with both investment management and financial planning. There are some financial advisors that just deal with investment management, and there are some that just deal with financial planning, but there are those that do both, and that's what wealth advisor is supposed to denote. But most people don't know that. And as I mentioned, the title of my book as Fiduciary, and it's an important concept to understand if you're choosing a financial advisor. And a little history on my experience with fiduciary. The term fiduciary is not one that many people are familiar with. And when I was first hired by Morgan Stanley in 2001 as a financial advisor, that was my actual business title, I had never heard of that term. And it wasn't until a few years after I was hired and had been working as a financial advisor that I met another financial advisor at a networking event, and he told me he was a fiduciary advisor, and I had never heard that term. And when I asked him what that meant, he told me he didn't receive commissions from his clients, and he was only compensated from the fees that his clients paid him. So he was able to better represent their interests than I could. At the time, I remember being kind of annoyed and a little bit offended because I was always trying to do what was best for my clients, and I had never even heard of this term fiduciary. And it wasn't until a few years later that Morgan Stanley and many of the other financial advisory firms started to change their business practice and move away from the commission model and more towards the fee-for-service or fee-based advice that I really started to further understand what this fiduciary model was. And I didn't know at the time, but the ability to receive commissions, which I was able to do for many years, was creating conflicts of interest for my clients, and the same for many clients of other brokers. And in 2017, I finally decided it was time for me to become a fee-only financial advisor. And this means that I don't receive commissions or any kickbacks for any of the recommendations that I make. And if you look up the term fiduciary, you will find it can be used as both an adjective and as a noun. As an adjective, it means of or related to or involving a confidence or trust, a fiduciary relationship. As a noun, it means one that holds a fiduciary relationship or acts in a fiduciary capacity. Now, what it has come to mean for a fiduciary financial advisor is that you are legally obligated to put your client's interest ahead of your own and disclose any conflicts of interest you may have. And to truly do that, it means not accepting commissions or kickbacks from any recommendations you may make. And that's what a fee-only financial advisor is. They are compensated by the fees that their clients pay them, not by commissions or kickbacks from any products they might recommend or any companies they do business with or any services that they might recommend their clients sign up with. So first and foremost, a financial advisor in the truest term should be looking out for your best interest, similar to what a doctor or an attorney should be doing. Unlike doctors and attorneys, there isn't a clear path or training to become a financial advisor. And as I mentioned earlier, there's no standardization of titles, there's no higher education requirements, and really not a whole lot of requirements also, and no experience. And the industry is also coming up with new terminology and designations to confuse investors and try to one-up their competition. So my goal with writing this book, as I said before, and also with this series I'm going to do, is to help educate you so that you can get your fair share when it comes to seeking advice and really get what's best for your money. Now, I mentioned I'm going to discuss what a financial advisor does. So there are a lot of things financial advisors do, but I'm going to give you 10 of those. So the first is probably what you think of with financial advisor. They give investment management advice, or they actually manage portfolios. This is part of what I do. They also could help you with retirement planning. They also could help you with estate and legacy planning. They don't draft legal documents. Most financial advisors are not attorneys, but there are a lot of things that financial advisors can do to help you make sure that your estate is set up properly and, when needed, involve an attorney. They also do tax planning. This is something that in the last 5 years I've started to do a lot more of. And what tax planning means is that we look at clients' taxes to see where their income is projected for the year, where should they be taking money, what account should they be contributing to receive deductions, how can we structure their investment portfolio to minimize the taxes those investments generate. There's a lot that goes into tax planning, and we do all of that without actually filing taxes. I don't file any client's taxes. I don't want to become a CPA. I don't want to get into that, but I want to make sure that my client, in conjunction with their CPA, is getting the best tax planning advice. Some financial advisors do insurance planning. So they either advise on what type of life insurance, long-term care, or disability insurance one should have, but fee-only advisors don't actually sell these products. When you deal with people who are brokers, insurance brokers, stockbrokers, they sell these products, and that could create a conflict. They can help you to save for college, figure out where you should be saving for your children, but also figuring out what schools make the best sense when applying, how to best fund college, where to pay for it, where to borrow, lots of things that go into college planning. They can help you with overall budgeting and cash flow planning, looking at where your money's going, looking at what you're spending money on, what things you can do to improve your cash flow, how you can do a better job of sticking to a budget. They also could help with debt management. If you have a lot of debt, how to best manage that, how to best pay that off, where to best borrow. It can make sense to borrow to pay for some things, other things it might not, but they can help you with that. If you own a business, they could help you to sell your business. They could help you to buy a business, give you advice around that. And they could also help you set up business retirement plans, small business retirement plans. There's a lot of other things that financial advisors do, but those are some of the major ones. And then on top of that, if you're looking for accountability and you want someone to be your financial coach, so to speak, they can also do that. They can look at your finances, meet with you regularly, see how you're doing, see how you're progressing towards your various goals, and also kind of act as your financial therapist. So there are a lot of things that financial advisors can do. So why might you need a financial advisor? Well, even if you consider yourself to be good with money and possibly even have some investing experience under your belt, there are several reasons to consider hiring a financial advisor. And I mentioned some of them earlier. But you arrive at a significant life event, such as having a child, getting married, buying or selling a home, planning for college, retiring, getting divorced, losing a spouse, inheriting a large sum of money, starting a business, buying a business, selling a business. These are all reasons to reach out to a financial advisor. And if you want a professional to help you manage your investments, that could also help you to maximize your returns for your family. You need guidance on the most beneficial decisions regarding retirement savings, insurance, taxes, or estate planning. No matter which of these may apply to you, a good financial advisor can be an indispensable ally in the growth and preservation of your assets. Not only do they keep their finger on the pulse of the the financial industry and changes that are going on, they can also help you navigate unique instances and issues around life events. And it's helpful to have someone who has helped clients manage these situations before so that you can avoid mistakes and take advantage of opportunities. And it's true that not all financial advisors have the same skill set or run the business in the same way. And in next week, I'm going to discuss more about the fiduciary model and why I believe, above all others, it's really the best way that you should work with a financial advisor. And then the following week and in following episodes, I'm going to delve into how to look for and seek the right financial advisor. So there's a school of thought out there that you don't need a financial advisor. There's many people online that give advice and tell you can do it yourself, but with any profession, a great deal of study and skill is required to do a job well. And this is certainly true of the financial industry. And most people don't have the time or the passion to delve into the nitty-gritty of financial planning strategies, taxes, investing, changes in legislation, and all the stuff that's going on to merely stay on the cutting edge. And you may have a similar passion for finances as I do. You might read blogs, books, listen to podcasts, and that's great. But you might be one of the few that can actually manage your portfolio on your own. But if you're not going to be investing a lot of time and you don't have an interest in doing it, you probably shouldn't be your own financial advisor. And there are plenty of websites out there that show you how to manage your own portfolios, and you might get some of it right, but chances are you're missing out on some crucial components that could significantly impact your long-term success. And a long-term perspective and solid investment strategy is not only important for your investment process, but it's also important for your overall financial plan. And I'd say one of the biggest mistakes that people make is going solo and then relying on some of what I believe are the worst possible guideposts to investing, and that is the mainstream media. In fact, financial TV channels such as Fox Business, CNBC, are sometimes referred to as financial pornography by financial advisors. And this is because most individuals offering their opinions on these outlets have no accountability when it comes to the advice they dispense. Their prognostications are often based on a little more than guesswork, and the guidance they give is inherently short-term in nature. And consequently, the notion that one can gain a significant advantage in the markets by constantly monitoring the media, I would say, is misguided. And a great deal of money is poured into Wall Street every day to try and help people what's going on in the markets and what's going to occur, but most of that is merely noise. So the bottom line is that it's extremely challenging for the average person to invest the time and resources to understand everything they need to know about portfolio management and financial planning. And it's probably much better that you focus on your family, your career, and increasing your income than trying to go it alone. And while you're working with a financial advisor, if you're working with a fiduciary advisor, they'll be working for you and putting your best interests and priorities first so that you can better sleep at night knowing that you have a long-term plan and not be worried about what you might be missing out for or with on your portfolio. So again, specific life situations is usually when people reach out to financial advisors. And we mentioned some of them earlier, but I'll just recap. Some of those could be if you have children, this can be a great reason to reach out to a financial advisor to make sure your financial plan is in order, you've got the right insurances in place, any changes in income, paying for child care. These are important things. Getting married, this is also another important time. You're going to be combining your finances with your partner, making sure you're on the same page as far as managing your finances going forward, but also figuring out if you're going to be having a large wedding, large expenses, how are you going to pay for that? Buying a home or selling a home. These are two big life events. When buying a home, that's a big expense that you're undertaking, making sure that you're not buying too big of a home and that you can afford it, and understanding all those additional costs. Selling a home, if you're going to have a large proceed from the sale of the home, what to do with that money, how to invest it. Planning for college, that's another big one. I believe the earlier you start, the better. But even if you're getting a late start, a financial advisor who specializes in college planning can be very helpful as far as when your children are applying for college, knowing where scholarships are, how to deal with the FAFSA, which schools are going to be a good fit for your child. There's a lot of things that you can get advice on. Retirement, this is a big one, right? We all need to have a retirement plan. You should always be thinking about this, but if you're someone who's put it off, even if you're 10 years away from retiring, it's still a good time to reach out to a financial advisor to figure out what you can be doing to really give yourself the best plan for retirement, and knowing, where you stand in relation to that plan. If you happen to get divorced, a lot of people do get divorced. It's certainly a stressful time, but this is really important because if you've gone from having, two household income and now down to one, how are you going to manage that? How are you going to manage any alimony you might be paying or receiving? What about child support? These are all important things to consider. If you have a loss of a spouse, this is another one. It's a devastating thing, and a lot of times there's major changes, but a financial advisor can be helpful as far as what changes financially will occur, how will you pay the bills, but also giving you guidance on settling your estate, and then making sure your estate plan is going to be set up properly for your eventual passing. Inheriting a large sum of money, obviously that could be a major change in your finances. If you're going to start a business, if you run a small business, and then just overall money management. So there's a lot of reasons to reach out to a financial advisor. And if you want to have someone in your corner who is looking out for your best interests, then again, I suggest a financial advisor, but not any financial advisor, a fiduciary advisor, so that they're going to be putting your interests first and foremost, and you are aware of any potential conflicts of interest with that relationship. So in next week's episode, I'm going to talk more about working with a fiduciary advisor and the how to find one and what that looks like. So again, if you want to pre-order my book, you can head over to retirewithryan.com and click on book, and you'll have it, hopefully in your hands in a couple weeks. And as always, thanks for listening. I look forward to talking to you next week, where we continue the series on financial advisors. And if you have a question you want to have considered for a future episode, you can always leave that question by also going to retirewithryan.com and clicking on Ask a Question. Have a great week, and I look forward to talking to you next Wednesday. Take care.